A boy's gift could heal her broken dreams, but a cruel doctor laughs. Will Marvin's miracle defy hate? You won't believe what happens next. Watch now to witness a clash of heart and prejudice. Don't miss the shocking end. Faith healing? That's a circus trick, not medicine. Dr. Owen's voice boomed through the sterile halls of Chicago General Hospital, his sharp gray eyes narrowing at Marvin. The 11-year-old stood defiant, clutching a worn medical textbook, his dark skin glistening under most fluorescent lights. Nurses whispered behind their clipboards, torn between awe and skepticism. Marvin, a prodigy who'd memorized Gray's Anatomy by age 9, wasn't here for their approval. He was here for Courtney. Courtney Jackson, 32, sat slumped in her wheelchair in room 312, her once graceful hands folded tightly in her lap. A faded ballet costume hung on the wall, a cruel reminder of the accident that shattered her legs 2 years ago. Depression had carved deep lines into her face, her eyes dull with self-loathing. "I'm a broken doll," she'd muttered to Marvin during his first visit, her voice barely a whisper. But Marvin saw something else, a faint spark, a soul crying to dance again. Marvin's gift wasn't just his genius. Since he was 6, he'd felt a warmth in his palms, a pulse that hummed when he touched the sick. His grandmother called it the spirit's touch, a rare ability to mend through connection. Last month, he'd eased a neighbor's migraines with a single touch. Now he believed he could heal Courtney's legs, not with scalpels, but with something deeper. Dr. Owen, the hospital's top surgeon, scoffed at the idea. At 50, with a string of awards and a reputation for arrogance, he ruled the hospital like a king. "A kid playing doctor? And one like you?" he'd sneered, his words dripping with disdain. His prejudice wasn't subtle. Marvin had overheard him mutter about those people stealing opportunities. Owen saw Marvin's presence as an insult to his legacy. The problem began when Marvin slipped into Courtney's room in after hours, bypassing security with a borrowed intern's badge. He knelt beside her, his small hands hovering over her scarred knees. "I can feel it, Miss Courtney," he whispered. "Your legs, they're not gone. They're waiting." Courtney's eyes flickered with hope, then fear. "If you're wrong, kid, I'll break all over again." Word spread fast. By morning, nurses were buzzing, and Owen was furious. He stormed into the room, his white coat flapping. "You're filling her head with nonsense," he barked at Marvin. "This is a hospital, not a church." Courtney shrank back, her fragile confidence crumbling. Marvin stood his ground, heart pounding. "I'm not lying, sir. I can help her." Owen's laugh was cold. "Help? You'll ruin her. Stick to your books, boy." He turned to Courtney. "Don't waste my time with this fraud." As he left, Marvin caught the flicker of doubt in Courtney's eyes. He knew he had to act fast, before Owen's cruelty snuffed out her hope for good. Marvin sat cross-legged on the hospital's rooftop, the Chicago skyline glittering under a twilight haze. The cold concrete bit into his legs, but he barely noticed. Dr. Owen's words echoed in his mind. "You'll ruin her." His small hands clenched, the familiar warmth in his palms flickering like a dying ember. Below, the hospital buzzed with life, ambulances wailed, nurses darted between rooms. But up here, Marvin felt alone. Courtney's doubt, sparked by Owen's venom, had shaken him. What if he was wrong? Inside room 312, Courtney stared at her reflection in a handheld mirror, her fingers tracing the hollows under her eyes. Marvin's promise had stirred something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. But Owen's scorn had doused it like ice water. She wheeled to the window, her ballet costume swaying faintly in the draft. "I'm a fool," she whispered, imagining the stage she'd never grace again. Yet Marvin's earnest eyes lingered in her memory, daring her to believe. The hospital was changing. Nurses who once dismissed Marvin as a curious kid now watched him with quiet curiosity. Orderly Jamal, a burly man with a kind smile, had caught Marvin sneaking granola bars from the cafeteria. Instead of reporting him, Jamal slipped him an extra one. "You're trouble, kid, but the good kind," he'd said. Even Dr. Patel, a soft-spoken neurologist, paused to ask Marvin about his gift during rounds. The boy's presence was a ripple, unsettling the hospital's rigid order. Marvin's resolve hardened. He couldn't let Owen win, not for himself, but for Courtney. He began shadowing physical therapists, studying their techniques, blending his spiritual intuition with their science. Late at night, he'd sneak into the hospital library, poring over journals about nerve regeneration. His gift wasn't enough. He needed to understand why it worked. One night, he found a case study about psychosomatic healing, mind and body entwined. It clicked. Courtney's spirit was as broken as her legs. The escalation came unexpectedly. On Wednesday, Marvin overheard Owen in the staff lounge, his voice low and venomous. "That boy's a danger. I'm filing a complaint with the board. Get him banned." Marvin's heart sank. Owen wasn't just mocking him, he was trying to erase him. Worse, Owen had scheduled Courtney for an experimental surgery, one with a 30% success rate and risks of permanent nerve damage. She's desperate enough to consent. Owen told a colleague, smirking, "Better than some kid's voodoo." Marvin raced to Courtney's room, his sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. "Miss Courtney, you can't do the surgery," he blurted, breathless. She looked up, startled, her hands gripping the wheelchair's arms. "Owen says it's my only shot. Marvin, you're sweet, but..." She stopped, her voice cracking. "I can't keep dreaming." Desperation clawed at Marvin. He knelt before her, his hands hovering over her knees. "Let me try. Please, I feel it. Your legs, your heart, they're connected." His voice trembled, but his eyes burned with conviction. Courtney hesitated, then nodded, tears spilling. As Marvin's palms glowed faintly, a warmth spread through her legs, subtle but real. She gasped, her fingers twitching toward her ballet shoes. But the moment shattered. Owen burst in, flanked by security. "Enough," he roared. "You're done here, boy!" As guards grabbed Marvin, Courtney's cry pierced the air. "Wait, I felt something!" Owen's face twisted with rage, but Marvin saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. The twist was clear. Marvin's gift was real, and Owen knew it. Marvin's wrist stung where the security guard's hands had gripped him, dragging him from Courtney's room. Now, in a stark office, he faced Dr. Owen, whose gray eyes burned with triumph. "You're a fraud, boy," Owen hissed, leaning close, his breath sour. "I'll have you locked out by dawn." Marvin's chest tightened, but Courtney's cry, "I felt something," blazed in his heart. He wouldn't break. Not now. Courtney clutched her wheelchair's arms, alone, her pulse racing. Her legs throbbed, not with pain, but with a pulsing warmth, like a dormant fire reigniting. She pressed her palms to her thighs, tears streaming. "Marvin, you're real," she whispered, her voice fierce. But Owen's threat loomed, surgery tomorrow, a gamble that could sever her nerves forever. She had to act, or lose everything. A storm was brewing among the staff. Nurse Elena, her braids swinging, cornered Jamal in a quiet hallway. "Owen's terrified of that kid," she whispered, eyes blazing. I saw Marvin's hands glow. "He's no fake." Jamal's fist clenched. "Owen's bullied us long enough. I'm done." They recruited Dr. Patel, whose gentle demeanor hid a steel spine. "Marvin's gift defies logic," Patel said, "but I trust my eyes." The revelation struck like lightning. Elena, fueled by fury, hacked into Owen's private files at 2 a.m., her fingers trembling. She uncovered a chilling truth. Owen had botched surgeries on Black and Latino patients, falsifying records to dodge blame. One file detailed a young dancer, misdiagnosed, left paralyzed. Owen's signature scrawled on the cover-up, "Monster." Elena spat, printing the evidence. This wasn't just arrogance, it was malice. At dawn, the hospital boardroom crackled with tension. Owen, voice oily, demanded Marvin's banishment. "He's a danger, preying on desperate patients," he thundered, pointing at the boy. Marvin stood, small but unyielding, his hands glowing faintly. "I only want to heal," he said, voice steady. Then Elena stormed in, slamming the files down. "Owen's the predator," she shouted, her evidence spilling across the table. Gasps erupted. Dr. Patel rose, his calm shattered. "I've tracked Courtney's vitals. Her nerve responses spiked after Marvin's touch." "Explain that." "Owen." Courtney wheeled in, her face alight with defiance. "He gave me hope you stole," she cried, her voice ablade. "My legs, they're waking up." The board chair froze, stunned. Owen's sneer faltered, sweat beading on his brow. Chaos erupted. Owen lunged for the files, but Jamal blocked him, towering. "You're done," he growled. The chairwoman's gavel slammed, silencing the room. "Owen, you're suspended pending investigation. Marvin, you'll heal under supervision." Power shifted, sharp and seismic. Marvin met Courtney's eyes. A vow sealed. They'd finish this. Together. Owen's snarl promised revenge, but his kingdom was crumbling. Marvin stood in the center of room 312, his heart thundering like a drum. The hospital board had given him one chance, a supervised trial to heal Courtney, with Dr. Patel and Nurse Elena as witnesses. Courtney sat in her wheelchair, her ballet shoes clutched to her chest, eyes wide with a mix of fear and faith. "You can do this, Marvin," she whispered, her voice a lifeline. He nodded, his palms already warming, a soft glow pulsing within them. Owen's suspension hadn't silenced him. He'd slipped into the room, uninvited, his face a mask of barely contained fury. "This is a farce," he spat, glaring at the board's observer, a stoic woman named Dr. Elin. "You're betting a patient's life on a child's fantasy." Patel shot him a warning look. "You've lost your say. Owen, step back." But Owen's presence was a shadow, heavy and venomous, daring Marvin to fail. Marvin knelt before Courtney, his hands hovering over her scarred knees. He closed his eyes, letting the world fade. His grandmother's voice echoed in his mind. "The spirit's touch needs trust, yours and hers." He spoke softly. "Miss Courtney, see yourself dancing. Hold that picture." Courtney's breath hitched, but she nodded, picturing the stage, her body soaring in a perfect arabesque. The room held its breath. The glow in Marvin's hands intensified, a radiant warmth spilling outward. Courtney gasped, her fingers digging into the wheelchair's arms. "It's moving," she cried, tears streaming. Her toes twitched, then her ankles, a ripple of life climbing her legs. Dr. Patel's monitor beeped wildly, tracking nerve signals that shouldn't exist. Elena clutched Jamal's arm, whispering, "It's real." Even Dr. Lin leaned forward, her clipboard forgotten. Owen's composure shattered. "Impossible," he roared, lunging toward Marvin. Jamal moved faster, blocking him with a firm hand. "Not today," Jamal growled. Owen's eyes darted, wild with desperation. He'd built his empire on control, on burying his failures. Now, a boy was dismantling it with light. Courtney's legs trembled, then straightened. Marvin's voice rose, steady and sure. "You're whole, Miss Courtney. Stand!" With a sob, she pushed up from the wheelchair, wobbly but upright, her ballet shoes slipping from her hands. The room erupted. Elena cheered. Patel scribbled frantically, and Dr. Lin's jaw dropped. Courtney took a shaky step, then another, her laughter mingling with tears. "I'm dancing," she sobbed, spinning slowly, a ballerina reborn. Marvin stumbled back, exhausted but beaming. The glow faded, but his eyes shone. Courtney caught him in a fierce hug, whispering, "You saved me." The board's verdict was swift. Marvin's gift would be studied, his training fast-tracked. Owen, exposed by Elena's files, faced criminal charges for his falsified records. As security escorted him out, his final glare at Marvin held no power, just defeat. Days later, Courtney performed a solo at a community theater. Her movements tentative but radiant, Marvin watching from the front row. The crowd's applause thundered, but Marvin's smile was for her alone. He'd faced hate and doubt, yet his gift had carved a new path, not just for Courtney, but for every soul he'd touched. The boy who'd once hidden his light now stood tall, ready to heal the world. Marvin's gift restored Courtney's dance and shattered Owen's prejudice, proving hope triumphs over hate. Thank you for joining this inspiring journey. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like and subscribe for more stories that uplift the soul. Let's spread the power of miracles together.